Hello.
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 Good evening, ladies and germs. Welcome to the Comedy Playhouse. I'm Erin. I'm one of the winged minions here at the Comedy Playhouse, and I'm just going to go over a few of the ground rules before we get started here. Rules? She didn't say there were going to be rules. Don't worry, you're going to be fine. First of all, thank you so much for coming out tonight. If you're new to the Comedy Playhouse, welcome. Thank you so much for coming to our house. I hope you enjoy your visit. If you're an old friend, welcome back. It's great to see you. Thank you so much for supporting live theater in your community. Thank you for supporting the arts in your community. It's very important, and we couldn't do this without you. So, thank you. I'm sure all of you noticed all of the snacks and drinks and stuff. Everything's $1. Just chuck it in the basket. The wine on the sideboard is complimentary. The more you drink, the funnier we are. Yay! If you have too many libations and you need to avail yourself of the restroom, it is going to be back the hall and off to the right. There is also a second exit in the back in case there is an emergency that happens in this half of the building. Run that way. Let's talk about some housekeeping things. There is a sign-up sheet for our email newsletter on the table in the back under the lamp there. That is the best way to stay in touch with us and the goings-on here in the Comedy Playhouse. We send out notices about our upcoming performances. We're sending out notices about other theater events in your community that we think you might enjoy seeing. You know, promoting art is a good thing no matter where it is. So if you want to know more about us and what we do and what we like to do, that's the best way to stay in touch with us. Let's talk about some of our upcoming performances. Tomorrow morning is the last chance to catch our Easter performance. It's a children's show performed by Active Imagination Theater. It's run by John Bornholt. It's aimed at small children, and it's an improv show about Easter. It's called Rabbit Hood. So it's the story of Robin Hood with Easter characters.
Nice.
It's very cute. It's very cute. And it's just it's a cool, fun way to get kids interacting with the story that's happening on stage. So if you have little ones or you know little ones, it's a really cute show for Easter. And that our last performance is tomorrow at 11 a.m. here at the theater. After this performance, just so you are aware, there will be no performance on Sunday, April 23rd. The last show for The Importance of Being Ernestine will be Saturday night, next Saturday night, April 22nd. The show that opens after this is an old-style radio performance. We're calling it the Radio Theater Revival Project. Radio theater is a cool art form, and we're trying to get it back and make it beautiful again. And so we will be performing 3 radio sketches of various genres. They are called Three Skeleton Key. We'll be doing an episode from The Bickersons. And finally there was some recognition there. That's the first time that's ever happened. Wait, do that again. The Bickersons. That's great. Oh my god. Okay, what about this one? Fibber McGee and Molly.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna put all of you down for coming to that. I'm just gonna check yes into that box. So we're gonna do a couple of episodes from those radio shows. It's gonna be super cute. We're having a lot of fun, like pulling all of that material. That's gonna run from April 28th through May 7th. It's 2 weekends. And then after that, we are putting up another Pere Summerzs original. It's called Sweetwater Cemetery. It's brand new. It has not been premiered yet. It's going so well. We've got a week of rehearsals under our belt. It's so much fun. We're having such a good time. That is going to run from May 12th through June 4th. So you're definitely going to want to mark that on your calendars. Let's see. On the back, there's some community performances that we think you'll be interested in, so please take a look at those. And I think that's all I have to chat with you about right now. So as is our tradition here, I'm going to leave you with a short joke before we get started with our performance. So, what do you call a cow with only 2 legs?
What do you call a cow with only 2 legs?
Lean beef. If you're laughing at that, this is going to be the best show ever. So, once again, thank you so much for coming out to support live theater in your community. Without further ado, let's get started with our adaptation of Oscar Wilde's The Importance of Being Ernestine. Thank you so much.
One pill makes you larger, and one pill makes you small. And the ones that mother gives you don't do it. Come on up.
Hello, Ernestine. When did you get in?
Just now. As usual, the door was unlocked, so I let myself in.
As usual. Did you hear what I was playing on the ukulele?
I tried not to.
There's a little Jefferson airplane, White Rabbit. I think I've gotten better.
Really? By what standards?
Well, I know I'm not playing accurately. Well, any square can play accurately. No, I play with emotion, with a wonderful expression. As far as my voice and the ukulele are concerned, sentiment is my forte.
You say so.
Oh, say, do me a favor. In the kitchen, you'll find a little plate with sandwiches on it. The ones with the cucumber and roast beef. Will you bring it in here?
Righto.
Oh, Ernestine, I forgot to tell you. After Thursday's little shindig we had, I took count of the bottles the next morning left. 9 bottles of champagne were consumed.
9?
Yes, but only 5 empty bottles remained. Oh, will you put it over there? Thank you. Tell me, why is it every time I hire help and have a gig, my wine goes down to have twice the empty bottles left the next morning? It's not that I'm complaining about the amount of wine consumed. No, I'm just looking for information you understand. No, it doesn't happen that way in households of married couples. What? I've asked around. Only happens in households of single friends.
Well, it's probably because your wine is just too fat. I've noticed that when a married couple throws a bash, the wine is rarely first rate, sometimes not even second. Not so when a single cat throws a shindig.
Heavens. Does marriage put a squeeze on normal function like that?
Yeah.
So, what you're saying is that the better brands walk out with the help.
Or walk out with the guests.
Guests? I haven't thought about that.
You know, I wouldn't have thought these sandwiches were on your menu. Thought you were tight on the drinking man's diet.
Just a light snack. That's all. Where have you been since Thursday night?
Out of town, in the country.
Oh.
I'm back in town now for pleasure.
What on earth do you do there in the country?
Oh, well, when one is in town, one amuses oneself. When one is in the country, one amuses other people. It's a drag, really. So, sandwiches, and I see tea over there. You must be expecting company.
Who? Nobody. Just Aunt Augusta and, Gerald. Oh, yes, but I am afraid Aunt Augusta won't be too pleased with your being here.
Why not?
Well, darling, the way you flirt with her son Gerald is, well, outrageous. It's nearly as bad as him flirting with you.
I love it. I came to town to get him to pop the question.
Well, I thought you said you came to town for pleasure. That sounds more like business.
Completely unromantic you are.
Oh, I don't find anything romantic about a proposal. It is romantic to be in love, but there is absolutely nothing romantic about a definite proposal. What on earth would he do if you accepted? If you said yes, all the excitement would be over. The very essence of love is the uncertainty of the whole thing. I'm sure if I ever do get married, I will surely forget that I was.
And act as if you weren't. I have no doubt about that. The divorce court was made exactly for people like you. People who are forgetful of their marital status.
Divorces are made in heaven. And will you please stop eating all of the sandwiches? I didn't make them for you. I made them for Aunt Augusta.
You've been eating them.
That's different. She's my aunt. Have some cheese and crackers. I made them for Gerald. He's partial to squeezed cheese and saltines.
Go very good Swiss cheese and saltines, too.
Well, hey, don't act like you're going to eat them all. Behave as if you're married to Gerald already, and I don't think you will be married to Gerald, and I don't think you ever will.
What? Why would you say something like that?
Well, first of all, men never propose to the women they jive with.
Oh, bollocks.
It's not bollocks, it's the truth. It accounts for the extraordinary number of bachelors all over the place. Well, and secondly, I don't give my consent. Neither will his mom, Aunt Augusta.
Your consent?
No.
Isn't that a rather antiquated policy?
Gerald is family. He is my cousin. My distant cousin. But that's beside the point. Before I give my consent, so to speak, for you to marry Gerald, you must answer the question of Cecily.
Cecily? What on earth do you mean? What do you mean, Algie, by Cecily? I don't know anyone named Cecily.
Now, where did I put that cigarette case? Somebody left it here last time she was at one of my parties. Could it be yours, do you think? I forgot, it's right here.
You've had it. You know, I wish you'd let me know. I reported it stolen and I was going to offer a reward.
A reward? Really? Well, how much? I have to be a little short on cash at present.
I'm not going to offer a reward now. Well, you have it. It's not been stolen at all. It's been here the whole time.
I think that's rather stingy of you. No reward. Oops! Well, look at that! There's an inscription inside! This isn't your cigarette case after all.
Of course it's my cigarette case. You've seen me with it 100 times, and you have no right whatsoever to reading any inscriptions. It's an invasion of privacy. It's a private cigarette case.
It's not an invasion of privacy at all. How am I to know the rightful owner if I do not open it, look inside, and read the inscription?
I am not going to discuss invasion of privacy rules with you. I just want you to give me my cigarette case back.
But this cigarette case is not yours. This cigarette case was a gift from someone named Cecily. And you said you don't know anybody by that name.
Well, if you must know, Cecily is my aunt.
Your aunt?
Oh, yes, charming old woman, lives in the country. Now give me back my cigarette
But
case.
why does she call herself Little Cecily if she's your aunt that lives in the country? From Little Cecily with her fondest love. I suppose an aunt could be small.
When a person describes themselves, you know, as a matter of their personal preference. Some relatives are tall, some are not tall. It's completely up to them what they think. You seem to think every aunt should be exactly like your aunt.
Yes, but there is more.
Oh.
The entire inscription reads, "From Little Cecily, with her fondest love, to her dear Aunt Jacqueline." Now, I really don't understand. She calls you aunt. Who is the aunt, you or Cecily? And besides, your name isn't Jacqueline, it's Ernestine.
It's not Ernestine, it's Jacqueline.
But you have always said that your name is Ernestine. I introduced you to everyone I know as Ernestine. You answer to the name of Ernestine. Do you look as if your name is Ernestine? I mean, honestly, you are the most earnestly looking person I've ever met. It's perfectly absurd to say that your name is Ernestine. Maybe I should keep this in case you try to deny to me or anyone else that your name is Ernestine.
My name is Ernestine here in town and Jacqueline in the country, and the case was given to me in the country.
But that doesn't explain why your small Aunt Cecily calls you her aunt. Now tell me the truth. Come on, tell me, confess!
You are sounding exactly like a lawyer. It's vulgar to talk like a lawyer when one isn't a lawyer. It produces a false impression.
That's what lawyers do. They create a false impression. Now, come on, cough it up. Why are you Ernestine in town and Jacqueline in the country?
Give me back my cigarette case first.
Here it is. Now, come on, out with it and make it interesting.
I assure you, it's perfectly ordinary. Old Mr. Thomas Cardew, who adopted me when I was a little girl, named me as guardian to his granddaughter Cecily Cardew in his will. That's why she calls me aunt. She lives out in my place of the country with her companion and sometimes teacher, Miss Prism.
And where is your home in the country?
Oh, that's none of your business. You're not going to be invited to visit there.
Continue. Why are you Ernestine in town and Jacqueline in the country?
I'm not sure you'll understand. You're hardly a serious guy. Being the guardian of an impressionable young woman like Cecily, you know, it's a responsibility I have to be a role model. It's a duty. Duty which hardly allows for much fun, especially out in the country where the neighbors are nosy and prone to gossip.
Agreed. Sure does put a damper on fun.
Yes. So, I've always said that I have a younger sister named Ernestine, who lives in the part of town where actors and musicians and artists live. She gets into the most god-awful situations that I have to come and bail her out of. And, that's the truth, simply put.
The truth is rarely simple. Life would be very tedious if it were. Oh, you know what you are? You are a Bunburyist. And I think you are the most advanced Bunburyist I've ever met.
Bunburyist? What the hell are you talking about, Bunburyist?
Oh, I'll let you in the secret of Bunbury later. No. I want to talk about Cecily.
Well, you can't meet Cecily. I wouldn't worry about her. You should tell me about Bunbury. What on earth do you do with him?
Oh, darling, you are a Bunburyist. Now, look, see, you have created a very, very useful young assistant named Ernestine, who gets in all kinds of mischief, and you must run away to the country and save her. It explains your frequent your trips, so you can come and go as you please. Now, I have created an invaluable, permanent invalid named Bunbury. And if it weren't for Bunbury, I wouldn't be able to go to the country as much as I want. You know, forget responsibility. Same as you. Now, if it weren't for Bunbury's extraordinarily bad health, for example, I wouldn't be able to dine with you tonight at Willis's. Oh, come on. I've been stuck with Aunt Augusta for more than a week, and I need... No, I deserve a break.
I haven't said I'd dine with you tonight at Willis's or any other night.
I know you haven't. You're very stingy when it comes to invitations. You know, it bothers people... Nothing bothers people more than not being invited.
I think you'd better plan on dining with Aunt Augusta.
I don't plan on doing anything of the kind. I had dinner with her on Monday, and once a week is enough for me.
Are you sure that's a fair thing to say?
She invites delightful people. Oh, I'll tell you exactly who she's going to invite tonight. It's going to be Mary Farquhar and her husband. Mary is going to flirt with her husband all during dinner. Trust me, that is not a pretty sight. It's downright indecent. Did you know the amount of women that flirt with their husbands in this city is outrageous?
Never noticed.
It's almost as bad as washing underwear in public. I don't want to talk about that. Now that I know that you're a Bunburyist, I want to talk about that. I want to talk about the rules.
I'm not a Bunburyist. Gerald proposes to me, as I planned. I'm going to kill Ernestine. In fact, I think I'm going to kill her anyway. Cecily's starting to get suspicious. I keep screwing up and saying my brother instead of my sister and calling her Ernest instead of Ernestine. So, Ernestine has got to go. If I were you, I would do the same with your your invalid friend with the ridiculous name.
Nothing will induce me to get rid of Bunbury. You know, if you marry Gerald, which I think is highly unlikely, you'll be very glad to know Bunbury in your life.
I will not. When I marry Gerald, then he's the only man I've ever wanted to marry. I won't want to know Bunbury.
Well, then your husband Gerald will. What you don't seem to realize that 3 in marriage is company. 2 is B-O-R-I-N-G.
Stop trying to be cynical. It doesn't fly, not with me.
It's hard to be anything but these days. Oh, that must be Aunt Augusta. Now, if I can occupy Auntie for 10 minutes, you think you can start getting that proposal out of Gerald? Absolutely. And as payment, you'll dine with me tonight at Willis's.
I suppose.
Come on up, Aunt Augusta! But you must be serious about it.
Oh, serious, yes.
Look at the door.
Algernon, you need to stop locking your door.
Good afternoon, Algernon. I hope you are behaving well.
I am feeling very well, Aunt Augusta, thank you.
Not quite the same thing. In fact, the two things rarely go together.
Looking sharp, Gerald.
And I always look sharp, Algernon. Isn't that right, Ernestine?
No, Gerald, you're perfect.
Well, I wouldn't say perfect. You would leave room for new improvements or new skills. And I intend to develop many new skills in many new directions.
I'm sorry if we are a bit late, Algernon,
Yes, ma'am.
but I needed to see Mary at Harbury. I hadn't seen her since her poor husband's death, and she certainly has changed. She looks 20 years younger. Oh, and now I'll have a cup of tea and one of those nice cucumber and roast beef sandwiches you promised me. Oh, Thea dear, add a splash of whiskey to that tea, would you? Hot toddy would be splendid this time of day. I do feel a chill in the air.
Certainly, Aunt Augusta.
A bit more whiskey in that cup, Algernon. I do believe that chill is getting worse. Gerald, come, sit here.
No, thank you, Mother. I am quite comfortable where I am.
Good heavens! Why are there no cucumber sandwiches? I made them specifically for you, Aunt Augusta. Oh, I am so disappointed. No cucumber sandwiches. They've disappeared.
It doesn't matter, Algernon, it doesn't matter. I had croissants with blueberry preserves at Marriott Harbury's. I visited her earlier. She seems to be living entirely for pleasure now.
Oh, yes, I have heard her hair has turned quite gold with grief.
Well, it has changed colour. From what, I really couldn't say. Thank you. Oh, I've quite a treat for you tonight, Algernon. I have invited Mary Farquhar and her husband. She's such a nice woman and so attentive to her husband. Delightful to watch them.
No, Aunt Augusta. I hate to disappoint you again. First, no cucumber sandwiches. Now the dinner invitation. Oh, Aunt Augusta, I won't make it to dinner tonight.
Oh, Algernon, you know how I like to have a certain number at the table. If you're not there, it's going to be very difficult. Your uncle would have to dine upstairs. Fortunately, he's become accustomed to that.
Well, yes, I'm very disappointed, Aunt Augusta, but fact of the matter is, I just had a message that my good friend Bunbury is ill. Again. They seem to think that I should be with him.
It's very strange. This Mr. Bunbury seems to suffer from a curious case of bad health. Seems to require your presence frequently.
Yes. Poor Bunbury. Very bad health. An invalid.
Say, Algernon, I think it's high time that Mr. Bunbury decide whether he's going to live or die. This shilly-shallying with the question is absurd. Nor do I in any way approve of this business of providing sympathy. Don't approve at all. I think it's morbid. Oh, a bit more whiskey, Algernon. Illness of any kind is hardly a thing to be encouraged in others. Health is the primary duty of life. I'm always saying that to your poor uncle, but he never seems to listen. Certainly don't see any improvement in his ailments. I should be much obliged if you would ask Mr. Bunbury to be so kind as to not have a relapse on Saturday. I need you to arrange my music for me. I know it's not included in many gatherings anymore, but I think it adds a certain ambiance to parties.
I will relay your wishes, Aunt Augusta.
One wants music that will encourage conversation. There have been many gatherings lately where everyone quickly says whatever it is they have to say, which always turns out to be not much to begin with.
Well, I will talk to Bunbury, of course, Aunt Augusta, if he is still conscious. But he should be fine by then, by Saturday, I mean, yes. And you know, the music is such a great responsibility. I'd love to show you what I've already drawn up. It's in the other room, if you'd like to come with me.
Yeah, that's very, very kind of you, Algernon. I'm certain I will be delighted with what you put together. Yeah, after a few changes, of course. That beatnik ukulele business you listen to simply will not do. Why, people always seem to think it's risque, which either makes them look shocked, which is vulgar, or makes them laugh, which is worse. But German music, oh, that's thoroughly respectable. Gerald, come with us.
Yes, Mother.
Beautiful weather we're having.
Let's not talk about the weather. Huh? Anytime anyone says anything about the weather, I'm pretty sure they're talking about something else.
I am talking about something else.
Well, Ernestine, I thought so. And I am never wrong.
Well, I thought we might take advantage of not having an audience, of Aunt Augusta not being in the room.
I have to warn you, Mother has this way of suddenly coming back into a room.
I said to put down the ukulele!
Gerald, ever since I've met you, I liked you more than any other man I've ever met.
Yeah, I must say, I have noticed.
Oh.
I often wish you'd been a bit more demonstrative.
Oh.
And I, of course, totally adore you.
Really?
Yes. It's fated, you see. Ever since I was a young boy, well, actually more of a teenager. No, actually a young boy. I have been enamored with the name Ernestine. My dream has always been to marry someone with that name. And when Algernon told me that he had a friend by the name of Ernestine, I knew I was fated to love him.
Oh, and you loved me after you met me.
Passion.
Oh, darling, you don't know how happy you just made me.
Ernestine.
Could you love me if my name weren't Ernestine?
But your name is Ernestine.
No. But just suppose that it were. Just suppose it. Do you mean to say you wouldn't love me then?
Well, that is a metaphysical speculation. And like many metaphysical speculations, there's no basis in real life actual facts.
Well, yes, I suppose. But you know, darling, to be perfectly candid, I don't particularly like the name Ernestine. I don't think it suits me at all.
Oh, it suits you perfectly. It's got a beautiful music all its own.
Oh, darling. Yes, but there are many other nice names. I think, for example, Jacqueline is a lovely name.
Jacqueline. 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 No, it doesn't have a ring to it. It doesn't have the right music, doesn't have the right vibration. The only real terrific name is Ernestine.
Oh, Gerald, I shall have to change my name at once. I mean, let's get married at once.
Married? Married, you say? Well,
Yes, you know I love you, and just now you've told me that you adore and love me too.
That's the kicker, you see. I haven't asked you to marry me yet. There's been no proposal. We haven't even discussed marriage at all.
No, the balcony, too.
You can ask me now.
Yeah, well, would you accept a proposal from me?
I tell you right now I would if you asked.
Well, Ernestine.
So, what do you say?
But you know what I say.
No, it's giving me the bagels.
But you haven't said it yet.
Well, now.
No.
But I don't have a ring.
Oh.
Yes. Right. And this floor's been.
I think he cleaned it last
I'm
week.
not wearing the right trousers for
Oh,
this sort of thing.
your trousers are lovely.
Which was
This way.
Will you marry me?
No, of course I will. Oh, it took you long enough. Oh, darling, you don't seem to have much experience in proposing.
Well, I've never loved anyone but you.
Oh, what beautiful blue eyes you have.
Green.
Oh, green eyes you have. You always look at me this way.
Gerald, what are you doing on your knees? Get up, kissing stick.
Mother, we have something to tell you.
Get up, you look
We're
ridiculous.
not quite finished, but we have something to tell you.
Gerald was just proposing to me.
Yes.
We're engaged.
I beg your pardon, but You are not engaged to Gerald, but should he become engaged, I or his father, should his health permit him, will inform him of the fact. An engagement will be to a young woman, pleasant or unpleasant, such as the case may be. But it is hardly something he could be allowed to arrange for himself. And now, Ernestine, is it? Since you wish to be placed on the list, I have a few questions to put to you. Gerald, while I am questioning her, you will wait for me in the car. In the car, Gerald. We will be leaving shortly.
She said in the cart.
No.
My love.
Gerald! In the car! Ernestine, you may take a seat.
I prefer to stand, thank you.
I must tell you, you are not down on my list of eligible women I've drawn up for Gerald. But I'm quite ready to enter your name for consideration, should your answers be what a truly affectionate mother requires. Do you smoke?
Yes, I do smoke.
That's good. Keeps a woman's hand occupied, don't you think? There are far too many women standing around town looking idle, don't you think? How old are you?
29.
Yeah, bit long in the tooth. Would be better if you were younger. But I've always believed that a woman who desires to be married should know either everything or nothing. Which do you know?
I know nothing, Lady Bracknell.
I'm very pleased to hear that. See, I don't approve of anything that interferes with natural ignorance. Ignorance. It's like a delicate exotic fruit. Touch it, and the bloom is gone. I find the whole theory of modern education radically unsound, particularly higher education for women. It proves a serious danger, leads to acts of violence, protests, women marching around the streets. What is your income?
About £50,000 a year.
Is that salary, land, or investment?
Salary.
Oh, this is satisfactory. What with the taxes expected of one during one's lifetime, and the taxes exacted from one after one's death, land has ceased to be a good investment. Land may elevate one's position, but that's all that can be said about that.
I do have a country house.
A country house? Where is it?
Hertfordshire.
Hertfordshire? Oh, I suppose it's dreadfully tiny.
Cozy.
You do have a house in town, I hope. A cultured man like Gerald, with his taste, would hardly be expected to live full-time in the country.
Yes, I have a rental here in town.
Where?
East side.
No, the east side, that will hardly do. Though I suppose you could move. What are your politics?
I don't know. I haven't really. You could say I'm sort of middle of the road. It's independent of political party.
The Conservative Party. That's what you should register as.
Right.
But we will discuss this again next year when the elections are being held. Now, on to smaller matters. Are your parents living?
Oh, I've lost both my parents.
Yeah. Well, to lose one parent may certainly be regarded as misfortune, but to lose both looks like carelessness. Who was your father? Was he a man of wealth? Was he in commerce? Was he a person of some social standing?
Well, I don't know, Lady Bracknell. You see, I said I lost my parents. I suppose it would be more truthful to say they lost me. I was found.
Found?
Yes, in a handbag.
Handbag?
Oh, yes, it was a very large wicker handbag with white handles and a very ordinary handbag, in fact.
Who found this handbag?
Old Mr. Thomas Cardew, who he adopted me, when I was a little girl, and when I was, he had a first-class ticket to the Worthing in his pocket, and that's why he gave me the last name Worthing, and Worthing's a seaside resort.
Oh dear, and where exactly was this handbag he found you in?
The women's restroom.
The women's restroom? Where?
In the train station, the women's restroom, and he went in by accident, and he went in and realized his mistake and left immediately, taking the bag I was in by accident.
Oh dear, I'm rather confused by what you just told me. To be born in a handbag?
With handles.
It doesn't matter if it had handles or not. It seems to display a contempt for the decencies of family life. And In a women's restroom, really? No. Certainly seems to indicate an indiscretion of some sort. Well, it could hardly be regarded as an indication of a position in good society.
Well, what do you suggest that I do, Lady Bracknell? I'll do anything to make Gerald happy.
Well, I would strongly suggest that you try to acquire relatives as soon as possible. One parent of either sex, it doesn't matter which, mother or father, but preferably not parents of the same sex, as soon as possible.
I don't see how I can do that. Oh, I can produce the handbag. It's in my bedroom at home. Would that satisfy you, Lady Bracknell?
Satisfy me? You can hardly imagine that I and Lord Bracknell would dream of allowing our only son, a young man raised with the utmost care, to marry into a public restroom and form an alliance with a roll of toilet paper. Good day.
Good day to you, too!
Didn't go well. Oh, don't tell me you couldn't get the proposal out of Gerald. I told you guys never proposed to the women they jive with.
No, Gerald proposed all right. As far as he's concerned, we're engaged. It's his mother.
Oh.
She's unbearable. She's a witch. She's a monster.
Dear friend. Oh, that's too bad. I do love to hear people talk the truth about my relatives. It's what makes me put up with them at all. And relations are really just a tedious pack of people who don't have the slightest knowledge of how to live or the slightest instinct of when to die.
I suppose that's so. Oh, you don't think Gerald will turn out to be like his mother, do you?
Well, we do know all women become like their mothers. Yes. That's the tragedy. Oh, and some men do become like their mothers. That's their own tragedy. Oh, it is quite true.
I wish it were true.
Say, by the way, did you tell Gerald the truth about you being Ernestine in town and Jacqueline in the country?
Oh, of course not. It's not the sort of thing that you say to a man before you're engaged. How you think women talk to men before they're actually married.
Well, what about your sister, the misguided Ernestine?
Oh, well, I'll kill her before the end of the week. I'll say she has a neurological disorder. People die from those, right?
Yes, but, it could run in the family, a genetic thing. No, better say she had a cold that worsened. A severe chill.
A chill isn't hereditary or anything like that.
Of course not, no.
Very well. Poor Ernestine will be taken off by a severe chill. Well, that gets rid of heredity.
Ooh, yes, but didn't you say that your ward, Cecily, was a little too interested in your mischievous sister Ernestine, or your brother Ernest when you're confused? Wouldn't she question his or her demands?
Oh, that's all right. Cecily's a terribly imaginative girl. I think Ernestine being carried off suddenly by a chill would appeal to her sense of romance. She may be sad for a little bit, but then she'll write everything down in her diary, and everything will go back to being copacetic.
I'd very much like to meet Cecily.
I'll very much make sure that you don't. She's a very pretty girl, and not at all wise in the ways of the world.
Is Gerald aware that you have a very pretty ward who isn't wise in the ways of the world?
That is not the sort of thing that one tells a man when you're trying to get him to propose to you. But I'm sure that when they do meet, they'll be good friends. Like brother and sister.
You mean more like niece and uncle?
Close enough.
Oh, well, you know what, we better get going if we want to get a good table at Willis's. It's nearly 7 o'clock, and I'm hungry.
You're always hungry.
Oh, do you want to do a show after?
No, I don't fancy sitting in a dark theatre.
Oh, maybe we can hit the club, dance to a little bit of music.
Too noisy.
Well, what do we do?
Nothing.
Awful doing nothing all night. Who did you invite?
It's an old house.
Come on up. Oh, he's inviting people. Oh, Well, Gerald! Well, this is a surprise.
Alger, either turn your back or leave the room. I have something important to discuss with Ernestine.
I can tell by the look on your face.
Is it? Algie was right. You do have a terrible look.
Darling, we may never be married. And by the look on Mother's face, we never can be.
Oh.
Whatever influence I had over her, I lost at age 3. Though she may force me to marry someone else, and marry often, she can never dissuade my love and devotion for you.
Oh, darling Gerald.
The story of your origins that she told me, with nasty side comments, has of course moved me deeply, and of course is your name, Ernestine. I know your town address. What is your country address?
The manor house in Hertfordshire.
Yeah, Hertfordshire. I've heard the houses there are so small that one has to retire to the garden in order to organize one's thoughts. I shall write to you daily. It may be necessary for me to do something drastic.
Oh, my darling.
How long will you be in town?
Oh, I leave here on Monday.
Algie, you may come back into the room. Oh, I suppose you never left.
I'll walk you to your car.
Toodles! Lane, yes, hi. No, won't be able to make it to your affair. No, going out of town tomorrow. Going Bunbury. Hertfordshire. Oh, they are not that small. Leave them alone. No, better be back in here soon. Yes, hope to be back Monday. Yes, it'll be a fine day, Lane. Lane, you're a pessimist. It'll be a fine day. I'll see you on Monday. Okay, goodbye.
Oh, Gerald is the most wonderful man I've ever met. What's so funny?
Nothing. Just a little anxious about Bunbury, that's all.
Your friend Bunbury is going to get you into a lot of trouble one of these days.
But I do love a little trouble. Life would be very boring without it.
That's nonsense. You never talk anything but nonsense.
Nobody ever does.
Bringing in the sheaves, bringing in the sheaves, we will go rejoicing. Bringing in the sheaves. Oh, Cecily, why are you writing that diary? Put it away. Intellectual pursuits await you. I've got some German language books here. One of particular interest is a grammar book. It's very stimulating.
But I don't like German. It's a very difficult language, and not at all attractive. And I know that I look the same. Well, unattractive after all the German lessons.
Really? You know you should better yourself. Well, your guardian was saying before she left for town that she thought it would be a good idea for you to learn German. And come to think of it, she always says you ought to learn German when she's leaving for town.
Aunt Jacqueline is so serious. You know, sometimes I think she's probably not feeling all that well.
Really? Your guardian's in the perfect health, and it should be, her demeanor should be commended for one as considerably young as she is. Really, she comports herself with a lot of sense of duty and responsibility.
Oh, perhaps that's why she often looks a little bored when we're together.
Cecily! I'm surprised at you. Really? Jacqueline has had a very troubled life. Ida Frivolity would be completely out of place, not to mention the fact of constant anxiety over that younger sister of hers that's always getting into one sort of trouble or another.
I do wish Aunt Jacqueline would invite that difficult younger sister to come stay with us sometimes. Oh, we might be a good influence on her. Well, I know you certainly would be. You know German, proper manners, and things of the sort that could influence a young woman very much.
No! I doubt even I could have a good effect on a character that your guardian calls irretrievably weak. You know, I am not a believer in the new theory that one can turn a bad person into a good person. I mean, really, as a man sows, so shall he reap. You can't turn a cow's ear into a silk purse. He who lives as he who does, or he does do, something like that. Really, stop writing that diary. I don't know why you even take to keeping a diary.
Well, I keep a diary in order to document all the wonderful secrets of my life. If I didn't write them down, I would surely forget all about them.
Memory, my dear Cecily, is the diary we all take with us.
Well, yes, but memory usually chronicles the things that are boring. You know, the day-to-day things. Not unlike those 3-volume novels you're so fond of.
I wrote a novel once, of the 3-novel variety.
Did you really, Miss Prism?
Yes.
Well, I think that's wonderful.
Well, you know. Never got it published, though. It was abandoned, mislaid, lost.
Look, I think I see Dr. Chausable coming up through the garden.
All things bright and beautiful.
No, Dr. Chausable, so pleasant to you.
Oh, my dear Miss Prism, you are, I trust, well.
Actually, Dr. Chausable, Miss Prism was just complaining of a slight headache. I think it might do her some good to have a short stroll with you through the park.
Cecily, I don't believe I remember mentioning having a headache.
I know that, but I felt instinctively that you had a headache. I was thinking about that and not about German grammar when the rector came in.
Oh, now, Cecily, I trust you have not been inattentive.
I'm afraid I have been.
Were I lucky enough to be Miss Prism's pupil and companion, I would hang upon her lips. Metaphorically. My metaphor was made from bees. Miss Worthing not returned from town?
No, we're not expecting her till Monday afternoon.
Ah, yes, Miss Worthing usually spends Sunday in town. She's not one of those whose sole aim in life is enjoyment like that rather unfortunate sister seems to be. Well, I shall not intrude on Minerva and her pupil any longer.
Minerva? My name is Leticia. Dr. Chausable, then I thought you knew.
Well, my illusion comes from mythology, classical mythology, the Etruscans, Minerva, the goddess of light and beauty and intelligence. Well, I trust that I shall see you at the evening services.
Dr. Chausable.
Yes.
Actually, I think I would like to go for a walk. I do believe that I do have a headache coming on. I think a stroll might do it good.
Oh, we might walk all the way to the park. And back.
Cecily, get through to the
All things
Boring German. Boring grammar. Boring German grammar.
What has she said about me? What stories has she told?
Well, a lot of stories.
Yes.
Not very much to tell.
You are my little cousin, Cecily, yes?
That is where you have made a mistake. I am not your little cousin.
You're not?
I believe that I am taller than average height for a woman my age. But you are my wicked cousin, Ernestine, the one who gets into all kinds of mischief. You know, I was afraid that you would be a disappointment and look like everyone else, but in fact, you look like no one I've ever met.
You really shouldn't think I'm so wicked.
I do hope you're not lying, pretending to be someone you're not.
But no, I'm not pretending, no.
Or leading a double life.
No double life, no!
Do you need to go
No, you're perfectly fine, really. I mean, I suppose I have been rather reckless with my life.
I'm glad to hear it.
Well, I have been bad in my very own way.
I don't think you should sound so proud of it. Though, it does seem rather exciting. Pleasant, almost.
Almost as pleasant as it is being here with you.
Well, I really don't know why you're here at all. Aunt Jacqueline won't be back until Monday afternoon.
Oh, what a shame! I have to leave Monday morning. I have a business appointment.
Oh. Well, I really think you ought to wait until Aunt Jacqueline returns. I know she wants to talk to you about your emigrating.
About my what?
Well, you're emigrating. Part of the reason she went to town in the first place was to get the clothes and other things you'll need for your journey.
I don't want Jacqueline to pick out my clothing. We have wildly different tastes. Besides, my wardrobe is large enough.
Ah, yes, but possibly not appropriate for where you're going.
And where would that be?
Australia. You know, where the kangaroos are.
Australia? No, like hell! I'd sooner die. I'd sooner die!
But Aunt Jacqueline said at dinner on Wednesday night that you would have to choose between this world, the next world, and Australia.
Well, what I've heard of the next world and Australia, this world is good enough for me.
Ah, but are you good enough for it?
Probably not. And that's why I want you to reform me. You can make it your mission.
Well, I don't think I have enough time this afternoon.
Perhaps I could reform myself this afternoon.
Oh, well, I think that would be rather rash of you. Though I think you should try.
I will. I'm feeling better already.
Oh, well, you're looking worse.
I'm hungry.
Oh, thoughtless of me. I should remember that when one is going to lead an entirely new life, one requires regular and wholesome meals.
Oh, Cecily. Oh, you are such a dear, pretty girl.
Miss Prism says that good looks are nothing more than a man trap.
And I'm sure it is a trap any man would gladly get caught in.
I wouldn't want to catch any man, you know, certainly not a sensible man. I wouldn't know what to talk to him about.
Isn't it true?
Come on, let's go to the kitchen and see what food.
Oh, yes.
Bright and beautiful,
all creatures great and small.
all things.
Oh, Dr. Chausable, you are too much alone. I think you should get married. A mistrust in mankind, I can understand, but not a mistrust in womankind.
No, really, Miss Prism, I don't mistrust women. As you recall, the primitive church did not allow marriage.
That's why the primitive church does not exist to this day. Really, you should realize, Dr. Chausable, that men being being alone. It leads them up to temptations and public offerings. Men alone, they're led astray in celibacy.
Surely married men are attractive.
Only to their wives.
And very often I'm told not even to them.
It depends on the intellectual capabilities of the woman, the maturity of the woman. Young women are so very green. I'm speaking horticulturally, of course. My metaphor was drawn from fruit. Where's Cecily?
Well, perhaps she went for a walk too.
Jacqueline!
Oh, Miss Worthing!
We weren't expecting you until Monday afternoon. What a surprise!
Yes, I had a change of plans and decided to return early. How are you, Dr. Chausable?
Oh, dear Miss Worthing, you seem distressed. Is there anything that I can do to help?
It's my sister.
Oh, is that girl in more trouble again?
She's dead.
Your sister is dead?
Quite dead.
Oh, my dear Miss Worthing! Allow me to offer my sincerest condolences. But you have the consolation of knowing that you are the best of sisters, even under difficult circumstances.
No. Poor Ernestine. Poor. She had many faults and lived such a sad life.
Sad.
It is so a blow to me.
Me. You.
Very, very sad life. How did she die?
I wasn't able to be with her because she died in Paris, you see. She was walking along a canal. And she was walking right behind a mime in a box. When suddenly he burst out of the box, careened into Ernestine. She fell over the railing into the water. The mime called out for help.
Of course he did.
But no one could hear him. By the time they pulled her out, it was too late. She'd already caught a cold and died of a chill that very night.
Terrible. Will the internment be here?
No. She said that when it happened, she would like to be buried in Paris, where she always had the most fun.
Paris. Hardly a place to be buried in. Well, anyway, you most likely will wish me to say a few words at the Sunday services in my sermon on manna in the wilderness. It can be adapted to almost any occasion, joyous or in this case sorrowful. I've preached it at weddings, at christenings, confirmations. The last time that I delivered it was in the cathedral on the occasion of a fundraising event for the Society of Unwed Mothers. The bishop, who was present, was struck by some of the analogies that I drew.
You mentioned christenings, Dr. Chausable. I suppose you know how to christen children.
Of course.
It is, I'm afraid to say, one of his constant duties. All those babies. I've tried to talk to people in the lower levels of society about that. They don't seem to understand.
Was there a particular infant that you wish to baptize? Your sister was, I believe, unmarried.
Yes, unmarried.
The type of person that she was, living that sort of life, they most usually are.
It's not for a child, Dr. Chausable. I would like to be christened myself, if you have nothing better to do this afternoon.
But surely you've been christened already?
Oh, well, I don't recall anything about it.
You have doubts?
I don't, but I wasn't sure if you did, because I'm not a child. Do you think I'm too old now?
Oh, no. The immersion or sprinkling of adults is quite common.
Immersion?
Oh, well, you needn't be apprehensive about that. Given the changeableness of the weather, sprinkling might be the very best way. Was there a particular time that you wish the service to be scheduled?
I thought I might drop by around 5 o'clock if that works for your schedule.
Well, that works perfectly. As a matter of fact, I have 2 other ceremonies to perform at that time as well. Twins.
Well, I don't really want to be christened at the same time as babies. Would 5:30 work for you?
It would be fine. 5:30 it is. Well, now, I shan't intrude any longer on a house of sorrow. Now, don't be too consumed by grief, Miss Worthing. Sometimes these bitter trials are a blessing in disguise.
I'm so glad to see you. But dressed all in black. You know, it makes you look kind of dowdy. Oh, go change your clothes. Put on some color. Jacqueline! Whatever is the matter, Aunt Jacqueline? You look so sad. Oh, put on a smile now. I have the best news ever waiting in the dining room. Your sister, Ernestine! Your sister, Ernestine? She arrived on half an hour ago.
My sister in the dining room. I don't have a sister.
What? Well, don't say that. No matter how badly she's treated you in the past, she's still your sister. You shouldn't be so cruel. I'm going to go fetch her, so the 2 of you can hug.
Well, these are joyous tidings.
Yes, but I can't help but notice upon the news of your sister being here that you seem rather distressed, Jacqueline.
Yes, but my sister in the dining room, I don't understand what's going on. Oh, good heavens.
My dear sister! Jacqueline! My dear sweet sister! I've come all the way up from town to tell you how very sorry I am for all the trouble that I've caused you, and that I plan to live a better life in the future.
Well, Aunt Jacqueline, you're not going to refuse your own sister, are you? You're not going to refuse to give a hug?
Nothing will induce me to hug her. I think it's disgraceful that she's here and she knows perfectly well why.
Oh, Aunt Jacqueline, be nice. There's some good in everyone. Ernestine was just telling me about her poor invalid friend, Mr. Bunbury. Surely there must be lots of good in someone who's kind to an invalid. An invalid in pain.
She's been talking about Bunbury, has she?
All about Mr. Bunbury, the quite dreadful state of health.
I won't have her talking to you about Bunbury or anything else. It might lead you down the wrong path, lead towards a wicked lifestyle.
I'll admit that the faults were my own. But I feel that my sister Jacqueline's coldness to me is very painful. I thought my welcome would be more enthusiastic, seeing as how this is the first time I've ever visited here.
Oh, dear. Aunt Jacqueline, if you don't give your sister a hug right now, I shall never forgive you.
Never?
Never.
Fine. This is the last time I told you.
It does the heart good to see such an enthusiastic and complete reunion. We should leave these 2 sisters alone to be together in this reconciliation of reconciliations. You've done a wonderful thing, Cecily. A wonderful thing.
I feel very happy.
I want you to leave. You have no right to Bunbury here.
But I had the butler put my things in the guest room.
What?
My luggage. I had the butler unpack it.
You what? Your luggage unpacked?
Yes, 3 large suitcases and 2 smaller ones. I don't think I'll be able to stay more than a week. 2.
You
get repacked right away. I'll have the butler drive you to the train station if you didn't take your car, and I'll say your goodbyes to everyone and say that you've been called back to town.
I haven't been called back to town. What a liar you are, Jacqueline.
Yes, you have been called back to town.
I haven't gotten any calls since I've been here.
Then I will say that your duty as a gentlewoman calls you back.
My duties as a gentlewoman have never interfered with my pleasure.
Say that again.
Besides, I want to stay longer. I want to get to know the family. Cecily is a darling.
You stay away from Cecily.
No, go upstairs and change your clothes. You look dreadful in black. Put on something with colour. You know, it's morbid to wear black in mourning for a sister that's going to be staying in your house. Or more.
No, you are not going to be staying in my house for a week or more. I want you to leave.
But I can't leave. I can't leave you while you're in mourning. It would be unsisterly. You wouldn't leave me if I was in mourning.
I wouldn't bet on it. Fine, I will go and change my clothes. The way I'm dressed seems to be bothering a lot of people.
Yes, put on something with colour, with life, flair.
Well, I'm certainly not going to overdress like you are now.
If I am overdressed now, it is simply to compensate for being overly intelligent most of the other time.
Your vanity is absurd. Your being here disgraceful, and you in that garb is just ridiculous. However, you have repacking to do, and I hope you have a pleasant journey back to town. Bunbury has not been very successful for you this trip.
I think it's been a great success. Oh, I think I could fall in love with Cecily. I'll have to see her again before I make plans for another Bunburying.
I just came back from my books. I thought you were with Aunt Jacqueline.
She's gone to see about my repacking.
Well, why would she do that? Don't you want to stay here?
But she's sending me away.
Then we have to say goodbye.
I'm afraid so. Oh, what a painful parting it is.
Well, I don't like it, not having time to be with a new acquaintance. I feel like I barely know anything about you.
Oh, Cecily, I hope I do not offend you in saying, quite frankly, that you seem to be in every way the personification of absolute perfection.
Really, Ernestine, that's quite a strange thing to say. I think I shall write remarks in my diary.
Do you really keep a diary? Oh, I'd give anything to look at it, may I?
Oh, no. You see, it is only a record of my thoughts and impressions. I plan to have it published, and when it appears in book form, I hope you will order a copy. But please, don't stop talking. I have reached absolute perfection. You can go on. I'm a very fast writer. Don't talk, Ernestine.
Cecily, what would you say if a man told you that ever since
He saw you, and your incomparable beauty,
that he fell in love with you?
madly, passionately, hopelessly.
Well, I don't think he should tell me that he loves me madly, passionately, hopelessly. Hopelessly doesn't seem to make much sense, does it, Cecily? Don't you have to see to repacking?
I'll do that next week.
Oh, Aunt Jacqueline would be very annoyed if she knew you were staying on till next week, especially if she expects you to leave now.
Cecily, I don't care about Jacqueline. What would you think if a man told you that he only wanted you, and only you, and that he loved you, and that he asked you to marry him?
Well, I would have to tell him. But I've been engaged for the past 3 months.
For the past 3 months?
Yes, it will be exactly 3 months on Thursday.
Well, how did you become engaged? Getting engaged is the fashion around here.
Well, you see, ever since Aunt Jacqueline told me about you, a younger sister who was very wicked and bad, well, I've been fascinated. You see, my world is Hyde, a Simon Mike Garfunkel, a partner in crime, daring, charming. I fell in love with him at once. His name is Ernest.
Ernest? Isn't Ernestine the female version of Ernest? When was the engagement settled?
On February the 14th.
Oh, nicely done.
After a whole lot of deliberation, I decided to accept his proposal, well, just there, under that tree. Next day, I bought this little ring in Ernest's name, and a bracelet with true lover's knot I promised him I'd always wear.
Oh, he gave this to you? It was very pretty.
He has wonderful taste, doesn't he? And I also keep all the letters that he mailed me in a little box. Well, this one, here, on the table.
My dear sweet Cecily, he doesn't actually write you letters, does he?
Well, of course not. I write the letters for him. I would write a letter about 3 times a week, sometimes more often if there was something going on in my life that I would want a fiancé to know about. They're also going to be published, you know, when I write them.
I would like to read them.
I'm sorry. I couldn't let you.
Yeah.
Although, the 3 that I wrote when I broke up with him were so beautiful. I sometimes want to cry when I read them.
Oh, no. Why was the engagement broken off? Or when was it? When?
Well, March 22nd.
Oh.
Here's what I wrote in my diary. Today I broke off my engagement with Ernest. I feel it's for the best. Weather remains warm.
I like how you put in about the weather. With what caused the breakup?
Well, I had a little drama to the affair, don't you think? But I forgave him before the week was out and we got engaged again.
Oh, Cecily, you are an angel.
You are a romantic. Oh, but it's that name. How could I not fall in love with a name like Ernest?
The name?
Yes.
Oh.
There's just something about the name Ernest that rings true. I couldn't imagine marrying a man with any other name.
Well, you mean you couldn't love a man as daring, as handsome as this Ernest character, as if he had a different name, like, oh, I don't know, say Algernon?
Algernon. No, I don't like the name Algernon. I like the name Ernest.
I don't see how you couldn't like the name Algernon. I mean, every guy that makes it into bankruptcy court is named Ernest. Could you really not love a man by the name of Algernon?
Well, I respect him. I'd admire his character, but that's about it. Definitely couldn't love him.
This is amazing! What a coincidence! I have a twin brother named Ernest! Amazing! Yes! And his name is Ernest. And oh, once I describe you to him, he will fall in love with you before he's even laid eyes upon you. Amazing!
Oh, amazing! I want to meet you!
Oh, you will, trust me. Cecily, your rector here, he's well versed in all the rites and ceremonials of the church, yes?
Of course. Dr. Chausable is a very learned man.
Oh, good. I'm going to have to see him about a very important christening. I mean, business appointment. It shouldn't take too long, and I might have to see to my repacking when I return. I might be leaving this afternoon anyhow. Doodles!
Oh my goodness, what an impetuous woman she is. I'm going to have to write down everything she said in my diary.
I'm Gerald Bracknell. I'm looking for Ernestine Worthing.
Oh, I I'm Cecily Cardew. Ernestine was here, but she had some business to attend to. She'll be back shortly. Would you like to wait for her?
Oh, what a sweet girl you are.
Thank you very much. Please, sit down.
Allow me to introduce myself more fully. My father is Lord Bracknell. You've not heard of Papa?
I don't think so.
Well, I have to say, outside of the family, he is virtually unknown, which is well, home seems to be the best place for him. You are a visitor here, I presume?
Oh, no, I live here.
Oh, really? With your mother?
I have no mother, or any other relative living here.
Really?
I live with my guardian in this prison.
Your guardian?
Yes, I'm Miss Worthing's ward.
Oh. Oh. Well, she never mentioned anything to me about having a ward. How strange. Can't say this news makes me very happy. Well, if I may be perfectly frank.
Well, of course. I believe that when someone has something unpleasant to say, they ought to be quite frank.
Yes. Cecily, I would wish that you were a bit younger. Or quite a lot older. One of the two. You seem to be quite a handful, you see, and I'm sure many men are attracted to your obvious charms, but Ernestine must have a challenge with you.
What? Oh, I'm sorry. Did you say Ernestine? Oh, well, it's not Ernestine Worthing who is my guardian.
No?
It's her sister. Her older sister.
She never mentioned she had a sister.
Oh, well, they've been on the outs for quite a while.
Ah, that explains it. Well, I'm very glad to hear that. Really, I can feel myself getting a bit anxious. Are you sure it's not Ernestine Worthing who's your guardian? I got that right.
I'm quite sure.
Yeah.
You see, Ernestine's general behavior would not lend itself very well to being a guardian. There's no reason to keep it a secret. It's well known around here. Ernestine has a lot of men in her life, if you know what I'm saying. She has a twin brother, too.
I have to say, Cecily, you're quite wrong about that. Exaggerating the truth, see, as Ernestine would have told me if she had a sister. Well, we're engaged to be married, you see. She would have said something about if she had a sibling. It will be announced in the Morning Post on Saturday. I am the only man in her life.
Beg your pardon, but I'm not exaggerating the truth.
Yeah.
Ernestine told me so herself. In fact, I've written it all in my diary.
Yeah.
What's that?
Well, I'm sad to say, Cecily, that I asked you to marry me on Thursday at 5:30. I have this little book. I write everything down in it, and I'm sorry to say the facts are right there.
Well, I'm sorry if this causes you mental anguish, but Ernestine is a very wicked woman who only has agreed to change her ways since she arrived here this very morning.
What?
And whatever unfortunate entanglement she's gotten into with you, I will stand by her. She used to be my sister-in-law, after all.
I am not an unfortunate entanglement. No. I tell you, it is not only a pleasure to speak my mind, it is my duty.
How dare you? Well, I'm not going to stand behind any social manners. Tea.
Please.
When I see a spade, I call it a spade.
But I am very glad that I have never seen a spade. It's very obvious that our social spheres are widely divergent.
I would invite you to stay for tea, but it appears that we are all out.
I know the generosity of my nature and the exceeding sweetness of my, well, myself. But you have gone too far. besmirching the name of my Ernestine. I knew from the moment I saw you that you were deceitful. I distrusted you, and I am never wrong.
Well, don't let me keep you. I'm sure you must be returning to town. You know, in town, what's properly considered an acceptable man is to behave where you are behaving right now.
Telling about
Oh, Ernestine, my love, Ernestine.
Gerald, my darling, what are you doing here?
Wait a minute. Are you, or are you not engaged to be married to me? There seems to be some sort of doubt about our relationship.
Doubt about our relationship? What you have some doubt about our relationship? Who would give you that idea? Certainly not Cecily.
Oh, Ernestine.
No, I beg your pardon. Doubt in the relationship. Well, just who do you think it is, Gerald, that you have your arm around?
Ernestine.
Not Ernestine Worthing. This is my guardian, Jacqueline Worthing.
What?
Well, I can explain.
I can't.
I know who you are. Well, you look just like your twin sister. You're Ernest.
And you're Cecily. Oh, you're just as my sister described you. Exquisite. Lovely.
Just one moment. Who is this lady here? Is she your twin sister, Ernestine? Gerald seems to think she is.
Jacqueline!
Man, there does seem to be a bit of a mistake here. This is not Ernest. This is my distant cousin, Algernon.
Algernon?
Yeah.
Are you really called Algernon?
I am.
And is your name really Jacqueline?
Suppose I could try to deny it, but that's my name, Jacqueline. Been my name all my life.
Cecily, you have been deceived.
You've been deceived too, Gerald.
Well, yes, that is true. We shall be comrades in our pain. Jacqueline, I have a question for you. What have you done with Ernestine?
And the twin brother, Ernest.
Yes.
Gerald. Cecily, this is a very awkward position for me. You know, I'm not speaking the truth. I'm going to tell you the truth, but I'm very terrible at lying, and so I'm going to tell you the truth. The truth is, I never had a sister in my whole life.
Yeah.
No Ernestine and no brother for her.
No twin brother, Ernest.
No.
You've never had a sister?
No.
No half-sister?
No.
Step-sister?
No.
Friend you consider to be more than a sister?
No.
Cecily, we've been duped.
Do you mean?
Yes, I'm not engaged to Ernestine, and whatever plans you had with Ernest isn't going to happen either.
Well, this is awful.
Yeah.
Suddenly find out the man you plan on marrying doesn't exist.
Well, tell you what, let's go into the house. Perhaps they won't follow us there.
You do look cowardly, don't you?
This disaster is what you call Bunbury.
Yes, and isn't it exciting?
No, you know where I go to Bunbury here. It's terrible.
Shows how much you know. One has the right to Bunbury wherever one wants. Any serious Bunburyist would know that.
Serious Bunbury, so good heavens.
Well, yes, one must be serious about something. I just happen to be serious about Bunburying. What are you serious about? Well, it's serious about everything, I suppose. Oh, you do have such a narrow nature.
No. The one bright spot in this whole terrible mess is that your friend Bunbury is exploded. You won't be able to run off to the country whenever you want to run from responsibility.
Well, same for you. You can't come and go to town as you please.
As for your conduct with Cecily, taking advantage of a sweet, simple, innocent girl like her, it's just inexcusable. To say nothing of the fact that she is my ward.
Well, and what about you taking advantage of a clever, brilliant man like Gerald? To say nothing that he is my cousin.
I wanted to be engaged to Gerald. I'm in love with him. That's all. There's nothing duplicitous about that.
I just want to be married to Cecily. I adore her.
Forget it. You're not going to be married to Cecily.
Well, I don't think you're going to be married to Gerald either.
That is none of your business. I don't see how you can sit here so calmly when everything is horrible is happening right now.
Well, I don't see how wandering about all agitated with my arms flailing about would help the situation.
You are harmless. I want you to go. Leave.
I can't go. I haven't had my dinner yet.
Oh.
And besides, I have a very important meeting with Dr. Chausable at 6:15 to be christened under the name of Ernest.
Well, I have a very important christening to do at 5:30 with Dr. Chausable. I'm going to take the name Ernestine. It's very possible I was never christened at all. Dr. Chausable thinks so as well. It's different for you. You've already been christened.
But I haven't been christened for years.
But you have been, and that's the point.
Well, that is the point, isn't it? But it might be dangerous for you to be christened now. Immersion! Oh, good heavens, have you forgotten that someone very closely connected to you was very recently carried off by a severe chill?
Algernon, I keep asking you to leave and you won't leave. Why won't you leave?
No, I can't.
Why not?
I haven't had dinner yet.
The fact that they've retired to the garden seems to show that they have some sense of shame about their actions.
They do look like they're feeling repentant.
Yeah. They don't seem to notice this at all. Perhaps you should cough. Well, not a big cough, just a little one.
I don't feel like I have to cough.
Oh, look, they're looking this way.
Well, they're coming this way.
Big hand and dignified silence.
I agree.
Oh, the leaves are brown.
That's not a very dignified noise.
An awful sound.
Let's wait for them to speak. Dignified silence.
Completely agree.
Jacqueline, I have something to ask you, and I must tell you, a lot depends upon your answer.
Algernon, answer this question. Why did you pretend to be Ernestine and then Ernest?
Well, to meet you, of course.
I'm completely satisfied with that answer.
Assuming you can believe.
Well, of course I don't. It was a beautiful answer, wasn't it?
Matters of importance, style over substance is crucial. Jacqueline, why did you pretend to have a sister? Was it so you could come into town, see me?
Oh, of course.
Did you doubt it?
So they have the ring of
I'm more than satisfied with what Algernon said.
Shall we forgive them?
Yes. No, wait. There is the other issue.
Oh, yes, the other issue. Well, yes, we have principles we must stand upon.
Exactly.
Which one of us is going to tell them? It's not going to be pleasant.
I'll do it.
We'll go together. Right? It's your Christian names. That is all.
Our Christian name.
Well, that's all. We're getting christened this afternoon.
You do that for me.
I wouldn't, I am.
Would you please me, you're ready to face this fearful ordeal.
Gerald! What does this mean?
Mother, it means that I am engaged to be married to Jacqueline Worthington.
Come here, Gerald. Come here at once. I do you are coming here, Gerald. One of the servants told me. I have all the servants' confidence. I purchase it. So I followed you here. And you must understand, Miss Worthing, that all communication between you and my son must cease immediately.
I am engaged to be married to Gerald, Lady Bracknell.
You are nothing of the kind. Now, regarding you, Algernon. Algernon.
Yes, Augusta.
Is this the house of your invalid friend, Mr. Bunbury?
Bunbury live here? Oh, no. Bunbury doesn't live here, Aunt Augusta, no. Bunbury's dead.
When did he die? His death must have been quite sudden.
Oh, I killed him off this afternoon. I mean, he died this afternoon.
Of what did he die?
Of what? Bunbury, he exploded!
Exploded? Was he the victim of a revolutionary?
What I mean by exploded is that he was found out. Yes. The doctors found out that he could no longer live. So he died.
Seems to have had a great deal of confidence in the opinion of his physicians. They acted on proper medical advice. Now that we've rid ourselves of Mr. Bunbury, who is this young person, Algernon, whose face you are burying in her?
That is my ward, Cecily Cardew.
I'm engaged to be married to Cecily. Well, as soon as I've asked her, she says yes.
I beg your pardon.
He said, we are engaged to be married. Well, as soon as he asks, and I say yes.
I don't know if there's something in this country, Erin. The number of engagements that occurs seems to be considerably above average. I think some questioning on my part would not be out of place. Miss Worthing, is Miss Cardew at all associated with the train station? Until yesterday, I did not know a person's origin could be in a train station.
Miss Cardew is the granddaughter of the late Mr. Thomas Cardew of 149 Belgrave Square, Southwest, Dorking Park, Surrey, and the Sport and Fishshire NB.
That is satisfactory, or rather not unsatisfactory. But what proof do I have of its authenticity?
Well, I have papers, you can see, Lady Bracknell. Miss Cardew's family solicitors are Mark B, and Mark B.
Firm of the very highest position in their profession. So far, I am satisfied.
No, that's very nice of you to say, Lady Bracknell. You know, I also have certificates of her baptism, confirmation, vaccinations, and the measles.
Yes, I'm sure it's all very fascinating. Gerald, it's time for us to leave. Oh, but before we do, I suppose I should ask if Miss Cardew has any little fortune.
Oh, 1.3 million pounds in funds. That's all. Good day. So pleased to have seen you.
A moment. 1.3 million pounds, you say, and all in funds. Well, Miss Cardew does seem to be a very attractive young lady now that I look at her. Come over here, dear. Come along. Yes, that's it. Oh, pretty child. Yes. Well, your dress is sadly simple, and your hair as if nature might have left it, but yeah, we can soon alter all of that. An experienced hairdresser in town I know can produce a simply marvelous result in a rather brief period of time. I recommended her to a friend, and after 3 months, her very own husband did not know her.
Then after 6 months, no one knew her.
Turn around, dear. Turn around. No, not all the way, just halfway, so I can see your profile. Oh, yes, there are some very definite possibilities there. Chin up, dear. Yeah, Algernon.
Yes, Aunt Augusta.
There are some very distinct social possibilities in Miss Cardew's profile.
But Cecily's the sweetest, dearest, prettiest girl I've ever met.
don't care about social possibilities.
Tut tut, Algernon. Never speak disrespectfully of society. Only those who can't get in do that. Cecily, you of course must be aware that Algernon has nothing but his debts to depend on. And now I don't approve of mercenary marriages. And when I married Lord Bracknell, I had no fortune of any kind, but I never allowed that to get in my way. Well, I suppose I must give my consent.
Oh, well, thank you, Aunt Augusta.
Cecily, you may address me as Aunt Augusta.
Thank you, Aunt Augusta.
I would like the wedding to take place quite soon.
Oh, yes, thank you, Aunt Augusta.
Now, I'm not in favour of long engagements. Gives people the opportunity to find out about each other's character before marriage. I don't think that's advisable.
Lady Bracknell, I suppose I should tell you that I am Cecily's guardian, and as her guardian, I must approve of her engagement, and that approval I decline to give.
On what grounds? Algernon is an extremely eligible man. He has nothing, but he looks everything. What more could one desire?
Well, the fact is, Lady Bracknell, that I doubt his personality. I think he is untruthful.
Untruthful? My nephew? Impossible. He graduated from Oxford.
This afternoon, he gained admittance to my house under the guise of being my sister. Under an assumed name, he drank an entire pint bottle of Pere Summerzs from 89, a wine I was reserving for myself. He ate voraciously. He succeeded in alienating the affections of my only ward, and what makes his even more heartless is that he knew from the start that I have no sibling, never had a sibling, and don't intend to have a sibling of any kind. I told him so yesterday.
All of that. After careful consideration, I have decided to overlook my nephew's conduct.
Kind of you, Lady Bracknell. However, I still decline to give my consent.
Cecily, dear, you are of age, are you not?
Yes, Mum.
Well then, I don't believe your guardian's consent is a matter of any importance.
Lady Bracknell, just one more thing. According to her grandfather's will, Miss Cardew does not come legally of age until she is 35.
That to me does not seem to be an objection. 35 is a perfectly attractive age. Lady Dumbleton is an example of that. To my own knowledge, she's been 35 ever since she arrived at the age of 40. Which was many years ago. I see no reason why our dear Cecily won't be even more attractive at that age. There will also be a large accumulation of property by then.
Algie, could you wait until I was 35?
Well, of course I could.
Well, I couldn't wait all that time. I hate waiting 5 minutes for anybody. It makes me all out of sorts. I know I'm not punctual myself, but I do appreciate punctuality in others. Waiting to be married is out of the question.
Well, what can we do?
I don't know.
Cecily states that she cannot wait until she's 35. It seems to indicate a somewhat impatient nature to me. So I beg of you, Miss Worthing, to reconsider your decision.
Well, the matter is entirely in your own hands, Lady Bracknell. The moment you agree to my marriage to Gerald, I will gladly agree to the engagement of your nephew and my ward.
You must, of course, be aware that what you propose is out of the question.
Well, then I suppose celibacy is all we have to look forward to.
Now, that is not what I want for Gerald. Algernon may choose for himself what he wishes to do. Gerald, come along. We've been here long enough.
Hello! 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 Come along! Everything is ready for the christening.
Well, christenings? That seems rather premature. There haven't been any weddings yet.
But these people have requested immediate baptism.
At their age? Oh, the idea is grotesque and irreligious. Algernon, I forbid you to be baptized. I will not hear of it. Lord Bracknell would be highly displeased if he learned how you squander your time and money.
Am I to understand that there will be no christenings this afternoon?
The way things stand now, I'm not sure if it would benefit anyone.
Well, this sounds very much like the heretical views of the Anabaptists, views that I have completely refuted in 4 of my unpublished sermons. Well, I shall return to the church where Miss Prism has been waiting for me for an hour and a half.
Well, Miss Prism, did I hear you say Miss Prism?
Yes, Miss Prism.
A moment, please, if you would. Now, this may prove to be of vital importance to Lord Bracknell and myself. Is this Miss Prism a female with an unpleasant attitude and sometimes connected with education?
Miss Prism is a woman of unquestionable culture and respectability, madam.
What does she do for you in your house?
I'm celibate, madam.
For the past few years, Miss Prism has been Miss Cardew's companion and teacher. A valued companion, I might add.
Oh, well, I must speak to her at once. Send for her immediately.
Yeah, well. Oh, she's coming even now.
I know I'm supposed to meet you at the church, but I've been there for an hour and a half, so I thought I might just go ahead and meet you there.
Prism, come here, Prism. Prism, where is the baby? 28 years ago, Prism, you left Lord Bracknell's house, number 104 Upper Grosvenor Street, in charge of a carriage that contained a baby girl. You never returned. A few weeks later, through the investigations of the Metropolitan Police, the baby carriage was discovered at midnight, standing alone in a remote corner of Baywater. It contained a manuscript of a 3-volume novel of more unusual, revolting sentimentality. But the baby was not there. Prism, where is that baby?
Oh, Lady Bracknell, I admit with a lot of shame that I don't know. I wish I did. The day that you are referring to, the day that will forever be burned into my memory. I had planned to take the baby out in the carriage as usual. I had along with me a rather large handbag, which I was going to deposit a manuscript of a work of fiction that I had worked on in my very few hours, unoccupied hours, and in a moment of mental lapse, I put the manuscript in the carriage and the baby in the handbag.
Where do you leave the handbag that held the baby? Where was the handbag?
I like to go to the train station. I like to watch the trains leave and imagine where the people are going. I left the bag there.
Where exactly in the train station did you leave the handbag?
In a restroom. A lady's restroom. I took the carriage and I left the bag in the restroom.
Oh, I'll be right back.
I'd like to go to the airport.
Gerald!
See the players take off.
Stay right here.
And I'll wait for you forever. As long as you're not
What's
too long.
going on?
Yeah, I don't even want to speculate, but I tell you, goings on such as this don't occur in families of high position.
Well,
Oh, she looking. This sounds like.
Awfully emotional.
This sort of chaos is unbearable.
Yes, she seems very emotional about just about everything.
Yes, as if she's having the vapors. I dislike women's issues of any kind. I find them very unfamiliar.
They've stopped the noises and the.
We should finish up what she's doing up there. What's going on?
I wonder what she's doing. The suspense is killing me.
Miss Prism, is this the handbag that you left the baby in? Look at it carefully. Examine it. The life of more than one person depends upon your answer.
It seems to be mine. Oh, yes, there's a scratch where I dropped it on the bus that one time. Oh, and there's the stain from that stuff that had fallen out of the bottle. Something. Oh, and yes, look, there are my initials. I forgot what extravagant mood I was in. I put them all there. Yes, this is mine. I'm so glad to have it back.
Oh, Miss Prism, more than your handbag has been returned to you this day. I was the child that you placed it. You? Yes, it's me. Mother!
Jacqueline! I am an unmarried woman.
Well,
Unmarried? I suppose that's not so good. Now, who has the right to cast a stone against one who has suffered? Repentance can wipe away a misery. Mother, I forgive you.
No, you have made a mistake. There is the woman that can tell you who you really are.
Who am I?
The news I have to give you, you might not want to hear. You are the daughter of my poor cousin, Mrs. Moncrief. Therefore, Algernon's elder sister.
Alger's older sister. I was simple after all. Oh, I always knew that I had a sister. Oh, how could you have doubted that I had a sister? Oh, Dr. Chausable, Miss Prism, Gerald, my brother. Algie, you'll have to treat me with more respect. You never treated me like a sister the entire time we've known each other. You'll have to make up for that.
Oh, well, I didn't know I had a sister until now, gal. Nice to meet you, sis.
I still call you Jacqueline. What's your name now that you're somebody else?
Oh, good heavens, I never thought about that. I suppose you'll stick to your decision about my name.
I never change my mind about anything, except in my affections.
What a noble nature you have, Gerald.
Yes.
I suppose the question can be resolved now. Lady Bracknell, had my parents christened me at the time that Lady Miss Prism had put me in the handbag?
Of course, everything you needed had been provided by your loving parents.
I had been christened. What name was I given?
You were the firstborn, but since you were born a girl, you could not be given your father's name. Though I do seem to recall a discussion about using a feminine version of your father's name.
And what was that name?
Oh, dear. At this precise moment, I can't seem to recall. Though I certainly had a first name. And he was rather eccentric, I must confess, but not until his later years. That was a result of marriage and indigestion, things of that sort.
Algie, don't you remember what our father's first name was?
Well, no, we weren't on speaking terms. He died when I was a year old.
Well, I suppose it must be written down somewhere. Lady Bracknell, Aunt Augusta?
Oh, I suppose it might be in my address book. Yes, I've had it for over 50, for many years. Gerald, fetch my pocketbook. You are, Gerald. Now let's see, the name begin with M, Moncrief, yes. Let's see, Markby, Migsby, Mott, Lady Mott.
Yeah.
I wonder how she's getting on. I really should have her.
Lady Bracknell, please stay on top.
Yes, of course. Markby, Migsby.
You already said those names, Lady Bracknell. Move on down the list.
Yes. Marmalade, mayonnaise, mustard. No. Oh, Moncrief. Here it is. Moncrief. Ernest John Moncrief.
Oh, and the feminine version of that would be Ernestine. Oh, Gerald, I always said my name was Ernestine, didn't I? Well, it is, naturally, Ernestine.
Now, I remember. Yes, I remember he was called Ernest. I realized I had a reason for disliking the name Ernest and therefore Ernestine.
Ernestine. My very own Ernestine. I knew you could have no other name, and I am never wrong.
You know, it is a great burden to a woman to realize that for her entire life she's been speaking nothing but the truth. Great burden. She is.
Oh, what a happy day!
Mrs. Prism, Leticia.
Frederick! Oh, the shame at last after all these years. Gone away at last.
Cecily, we can finally be married.
Oh, at last!
At last.
My niece, Ernestine, you seem to be rather emotional about this entire thing.
On the contrary, Aunt Augusta, I've just realized for the first time in my life the vital importance of being Ernestine.